Right, we're now live on YouTube. So just to confirm everyone that this is an informal briefing meeting because we've cancelled the planning meeting for this evening, and we're going to go through the applications to be discussed. Mark's going to chair, and the meeting will take, following the meeting, the Mayor, the Deputy Mayor and the Chair of Planning, so that's Margaret, Anthony, no, Margaret, sorry, the Chair, the Mayor, the Chair and the Deputy Chair. That's Margaret, Mark and Anthony will then take the decisions under the delegated arrangement of this committee in terms of reference. That's all I have to say.
Well, thank you, Town Clerk. Thank you, Paul. Good evening, members. As you know, it's a truncated meeting tonight, so we dispose with the normal formalities. We're going to go straight into the planning applications, of which we have 6 or 7. The first one we have in front of us is 48 Western Avenue. This is a householder application for a 2-storey side, part 2 and part single story rear extension. I hope you've all seen Catherine's report, our planning clerk's report. She does draw attention to the fact that work appears to have started at the front. The wall's been demolished, and there is a loss of a tree and shrubs. It's quite a large development, as you'll see from the plan. And one thing that's noticeable, I went up there this morning to have a look. There is a very distinct street scene here with rows of chimneys all the way down the street, and the chimney on this application would be lost if this went ahead. So throw it open to members to make comments. Councillor Harvey, John.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with this. I mean, I think it is a large development, but assuming that they've worked with their neighbours on this, obviously, because I think the Party Wall Act probably applies to this, and they would need to make sure their neighbours are on top of this. I'm assuming that because the garages are different, there's been some development there in the past anyway. Yeah, it's a large development, but they've got the requisite number of car parking spaces. I don't think we have any grounds to say no. Bordering on overdevelopment, but probably not. They probably need the space, so you know, I'm okay with it.
Thank you. Anyone else have opinion? Councillor Ralph, Anthony, Buckingham Society. Have they got a view on this?
Managed to unmute myself. Yes, there is. I think there's a bit of sadness at the loss of the chimney, because that destroys the uniformity of the block. And also they're a little bit concerned about the porch being a little different. But truthfully, as Councillor Harvey said, there isn't really a planning reason why we should oppose this. We can certainly comment on the changes and bringing it out of uniformity with the block, but I think that's as far as we could go.
So what do members, Councillor Harvey?
Is there a reason why they've taken the chimney away? I've not gone into it in great depth. Is there a reason why they've taken the chimney away, or could we say we're happy with it, but please keep the chimney?
Yeah, Catherine. Catherine seems to have gone at the moment. Mayor, Councillor Gately.
Yeah, thank you. It's a general comment, really. It's not very profound, but we never get planning applications to make houses smaller. They're always to enlarge them, aren't they? And that means over time, we're losing our smaller properties. I mean, that's not a specific objection to this. It's just a general comment.
Right, thank you for that. I don't know if Paul can hear us at the moment. He's muted, but we have lost Catherine.
I am here and I'm listening, and I'm trying to find out where Catherine is.
Right. Okay. I can answer, Councillor Harvey, that Catherine drew attention very much to the loss of the street scene, and something we quite often regret, and certainly Buckingham Society has in the past when we lose the local vernacular. It's the chimneys, and as Councillor Ralph said, the loss of that portico front porch. which all the houses have down there. As you say, whether or not it's enough of a reason to refuse it, overdevelopment possibly, but again, we leave this for members. So who would like to make a proposal that we accept this? Councillor Harvey? Yeah, can we have a seconder on this, because there are at this time have been no neighbour comments. Councillor O'Donoghue seconding it. Yeah, thank you. So
I'll abstain, Chairman.
right, thank you. Noted, Councillor Stutchbury.
If you put me down to abstain on all these applications.
Just to explain to anyone watching, Councillor Stutchbury is also a Shire councillor and will be on the North Bucks Committee, Northern Area Committee, if this got as far as that. So indeed any of these. So we've got a proposal and seconder. All those in favour?
Unanimous by Robin.
Unanimous. Yeah, Councillor Hetherington, you're sitting as a guest, as I see, just for the benefit of anyone watching this. Thank you. Right, item 2, move on to Corner House, 16A West Street. This is right on the corner opposite Davy Brothers Garage, where the chunks have been taken out of the rounded protected wall there. It's a listed wall. It's a certificate of lawfulness application for existing use for external stonework repairs. Some of the repairs have been done, some of them have been done with a slightly different mortar, but what Catherine has drawn attention to is that the historic building officer has not yet made a comment on this. It may be that members would be happy for this to go ahead, subject to the historic building officer approval.
Yeah, I would certainly propose that.
Thank you. I have a seconder for that. Thank you, Councillor Harvey. Anyone want to speak further?
Yeah, I would say I think it's when it's weathered in and got a bit of lichen or moss on it, it'll probably merge in over time. It'd be like the bricks or the stonework on the bridge over the river. You know, when those were put in, they looked very stark and very different, but now they just blended in, haven't they?
Yeah.
I imagine the same thing will happen with this.
Just needs to weather. Yeah. No, thank you for the. Everyone happy with that then? All those in favour? Yeah, that's unanimous again, I think. Thank you. Item 3 is 37 Badgers Way. This is a householder application for a first floor rear extension. This was turned down some time ago because of the lack of gap. They've now come back. What I wanted to ask Catherine, if we can get it back, is there still a 1 metre gap between these houses? That's not made clear in the renewed application. I can see she's here, but I don't know if she can hear us. Councillor Try.
There is a neighbour objection on the website. Have you seen that?
I haven't. I couldn't get on this morning for some reason. Thank you.
What's the neighbour saying, Martin?
Comment: the proposed upper floor extension would invade the privacy of my property to the rear. I could go on, but the closer proximity or upper floor windows would impact not only into my bedroom more directly, but also into my garden, which only has one area of privacy on my patio outside the back of my house.
Right, yes, I can see it now. Thank you for that, Councillor Try. Yeah.
That's not a planning reason, though, is it? I don't think.
Well, if it's looking into her bedroom, that's
Yeah, but if it's looking into somebody's back garden, I don't think that's
yeah, but
a planning reason.
the bedroom, I think, is more pertinent, of course. But I'm just looking through what Catherine's written. Are we able to get her, Paul? Because we do need her at this moment.
I don't know. Obviously, she's logged on,
Yeah.
but clearly isn't able to communicate.
I wonder if she could do it by telephone to you, and you could relay what answers to
Answering
these
can
questions.
get on the phone.
I'm guessing she's got some connection problems or something.
Yeah.
So basically, it's
Be side on to the comments that I just said to that house. So this is sort of just over 90 degrees.
So basically, they're going from a single story to a two-story
Yeah.
to increase the size of bedrooms 1 and 3. Then, by the looks of it.
Yes, I think Catherine makes a point in there. There's a blank wall, isn't there? We're just seeing if Paul can get hold of her.
Okay.
Can I just say, while we're waiting, that in the previous application, they were going to cut the garage in half and use it for other purposes and so on and so forth. And that, of course, reduced the number of parking spaces for the property. And it is noticeable that they now retain the full garage as a potential place to park a car. Whether one parks a car there, the matter of course, but they have responded to one of the objections that we put up. So they get a small thumbs up for that at least.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, I don't see that the size of the footprint has changed in terms of, so I don't see there'd be any problem with the width between the houses, Mark.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to check with them.
I mean, it's not changed.
No.
It's not changed the footprint. It's simply turning the rear extension, which is currently a single story of the kitchen, into a double extension.
Yeah.
And I mean, this, there won't be that much more. If anything, there'll be more privacy in the garden next door because they won't be able to see that bit next to the house because the windows will be that further out into the garden.
Right. Well, we have noted the comment on the portal, so I think we better move on. And is everyone in favour then of this?
I propose we accept. Yeah.
Yeah. So Councillor Harvey proposing it, Councillor Ralph seconding it. All those in favour? Show of hands. Yes, that's unanimous again. Thank you very much. I'll just make a note of that. Right, item 4 is hair close. This is in Badgers, household application for a single story rear extension and conversion of garage. Just to let you know, there is no notice posted on this yet. Well, there wasn't this morning when I went on first thing. I then lost the connection with the planning portal. So any views on this one? It's on the cul-de-sac of hair close, which backs onto the bypass. Councillor Ralph.
Thank you, Chair. I'm not sure that the 3D pictures, which initially you think, oh, good, you can really see what's what, are doing it any favours, because the perspective used makes it look extremely large compared with the house, and it leads one to start talking about overdevelopment. But I'm not sure that that's giving a true picture. One has to look at the ground plans and the rest of it. So
I noted that as well. Thank you.
yeah.
So, any members have any feelings on this? Councillor Harvey, you're proposing approval?
No, I'm just saying they're losing their. Can you still hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, they're losing their garage, obviously.
Yeah.
That's being turned into a downstairs bedroom with a shower room. And they're getting. I mean, it is quite. I mean, they're probably doubling the footprint of the ground floor, at least, I should think.
Yeah.
At least, yeah. Yeah, here we are. Catherine's put in the data. It's gone from 40 square meters to 92 square meters. Maybe I would, yeah, I think that's a significant, yeah, I mean, obviously the garage is part of that. So
they do have the parking.
I don't have a problem with it. It's not a problem as far as I can see.
Okay, someone like to propose this then?
Oh, Catherine can't unmute, she says, in the chat bar.
Right, hang on, let's have a quick look. Chat.
Been made co-host, so she should be able to.
Can you unmute her, Paul?
We can't hear Paul now, so.
Even though I won't comment on it, Mark. It is adjacent to my property, and if I could comment on it, I wouldn't.
Right.
So Sorry, so just say in terms of Catherine can hear us and she's taking notes and she can answer questions via text.
Okay.
We've tried to sort her sound up.
You can't unmute her then, Paul.
No.
Right. She's given us very good, precise notes anyway.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So we'll continue on that. Thank you. Right. So is everyone happy with that?
Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
hands, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's everybody again. That's unanimous. We're steaming ahead tonight. The fifth.
They're all very similar applications, aren't these ones, aren't they?
Indeed. The fifth application is up on the Morton Road. It's 2 Avenue Road, house called Chicana. Household application for proposed rear and side extension with associated internal and external works. I'm sure Margaret would be very happy to hear that this is going to remain a bungalow, which is something we're now pushing quite hard for, to retain all the bungalows we can. And in fact, on the Rosier Way development, we have asked the developers Wait to consider putting bungalows in as part of their accessible housing. So we'll get to that later. But this is on the south side of Avenue Road, Maids Morton, very much a product of the 1960s, as you can see from the photograph. What do members feel about this?
No objections, I think.
So, are they reducing the number of bedrooms?
Don't think so. No.
They seem to be switching things around.
Yeah. They're turning existing bathroom into utility room, building another bathroom. It won't be much bigger than it is at the moment, front to back. New roof will be higher.
And it's wider as well at the front, isn't it?
Side extension will have an intersecting gable with a lower ridge in the main building, but still higher than existing. Brick and tile as existing. Margaret.
Yeah, I think somebody said, I think they're gaining a bedroom from going from 2 bedrooms to 3 bedrooms.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Somebody asked about that. Was it John?
Yeah, I can see now.
As you can see from the photograph, they've got ample parking, probably enough for 6 cars there. So.
Yeah. I'm happy to propose to accept this.
Thank you.
Yeah. It looks like they're building out on the bedroom and then splitting it in half, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Martin, you seconding it, or you?
No, just a comment.
Yeah.
Oh, we have some distortion going on here. If, as it is a bungalow and they are adding a bedroom, on the building application, are they adhering to the wider doors for maybe disabled access?
Yeah. Catherine has just put a note up on the chat. She says they're just making the living rooms south facing. So this is what's happening.
Yeah.
They get more sun.
Yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah, I can see what they're doing.
Thank you for that, Catherine. That's very helpful. So everyone happy with that? John has proposed it. Seconder, please, just for formality. Thank you, Fran, Councillor Davis, and all those in favour? Yeah, again, unanimous. Thank you. The final application we have in front of us, building application, is 15 Bernardine's Way. Old friends come back yet again. They're chopping and changing this all the time. The main concern that Catherine points out is it will be 4 bedrooms and there are only 1.5 parking spaces, which again, Aylesbury is now getting quite hot on this. They have just turned down an application, and which was lost at appeal because of lack of parking behind the old police house, amongst other reasons. So should we be helping Aylesbury to enforce their parking regulations?
Yes, it's going to benefit the neighbours around that in that street, isn't it?
Yeah.
If they're going to park on the road, that's going to be detrimental.
Right. Maybe Catherine could send us a comment if there's anything she wants to add to that. As she said, the application withdrawn the same day as the previous one sorry, was submitted the same day as the previous one was withdrawn. No reason for the withdrawal given. The drawings are identical. It's just really tidying up the application. So the description now matches the drawings. So it's still, as we say, the parking still continues to be the problem there.
Yeah.
So anyone want to make a proposal on that?
Yeah, on the basis that they haven't got adequate bedrooms for that size of house, then I would propose that we disagree. We object.
Okay, seconder, please.
Yeah, go for it.
Thank you, Councillor Ralph. You were first there. Thank you very much. All those in favour that we object to this on the grounds of the lack of parking. Thank you. That's everybody. Not for consultation, but we have, I think, already discussed all these. The Maids Morton Avenue, there was a number of trees that needed felling, a lima beech and horse chestnut. Neil Passmore, tree officer from Buckinghamshire Council, put in this application, and Neil is a tree man. He knows what they're doing there. We had no problem with that. On Janty Hall, rear garden of Janty Hall,
Yeah.
Vice Chancellor's residence. This was a target crown reduction, which I believe we all agreed should be done. It's basically to remove a large, significant amount of dead wood and to reduce the risk of branch failure. And then the emergency approval was already given to the site of the former Westfield Works, what was Hartridge's Innovate site. There was a 5-day notice because of the extreme danger of these trees splitting and falling, which probably has been done already. So I know that everybody was in favour of that. So for once, we actually agreed with all the tree applications. Thank you. Item 7, we have to receive planning decisions. I did make a comment that for once we have got everything we wanted.
I know.
Ones we
Bingo.
Ones we didn't object to were approved. The ones we did object to opposed were both refused. And another one was withdrawn. The ones that refused, probably the most significant one there is the land between 38 Morton Road and the old police station.
Yeah.
Which was refused, the erection of 9 detached dwellings. It was refused for the reasons of there was no affordable housing. And here, Buckinghamshire Council stepped in and said under the new VALP policy H1, any site of 0.3 of a hectare or more must have 25% affordable housing, which in fact is better than our 35% at the moment on 10 houses or more. So congratulations to Buckinghamshire Council on taking notice of the BNDP. They also noted the housing would be cramped. They noticed it would be harmful to the existing residents. There was inadequate parking and it was an inappropriate housing mix, and there was no Section 106 agreement offered. So for all those reasons, it was refused by Buckinghamshire Planning. The other one was, which we opposed, was 8 Sandhurst Drive. It proposed 2-storey side development. That was refused by reason of overdevelopment and the parking problems there. There's a big problem there in Sandhurst Drive. So again, the neighbourhood plan was taken account of. The St Bernardine's Way one we've just dealt with, that was withdrawn. Planning Inspectorate 8.2, this was the result of the appeal against the housing at Pytle Crescent, replacing the garages in Western Avenue, the application by the Vale of Aylesbury Housing Trust. And I think, as you will all see, that has been turned down. The inspector again paid a lot of reference to the Buckingham Neighbourhood Development Plan and our tree protection policies. He said that the plans failed to provide acceptable outlook for occupiers. He noted there was an area tree preservation order, trees that would be harmed, and the development would be harmful to the character and the appearance of the area. And for all those reasons, it's been refused. So again, that's been good for us. I will just add at this moment, Catherine did send to Anthony and I notice that Candleford Court Gym, which an application went in to turn into housing, has been approved despite much unhappiness from our end about the potential flooding, the fact it's glass fronted. There will be a full report on that to the next planning committee. So it's just to let you know that it's not all wonderful. From there, we move on to item 11, Buckinghamshire Plan Consultation. Paul put this in to give advance notice of a questionnaire survey. It's quite a long survey, and we can decide whether we want to refer the consultation to the full council, if we want to discuss and agree it at the 24th of January planning meeting, or consider individual responses over Christmas. So the survey is attached. It's up to members to decide how they want to do this. John?
Yeah, I've always submitted my own personal views on it. But I think it'd be good to have a collective view too.
Mm.
Yeah.
I when I did it, finished it, I got my views downloaded. So I've got a copy of what I said. And I could forward that around to people if they want to see it.
That'd be very helpful.
Yeah.
My feeling is this should actually be a matter for the full council, because this affects the whole Buckinghamshire, not just Buckingham or the planning committee. One thing that did jump out in them, so you saw it, John, they actually admitted to having 5,000 people in the council housing waiting list.
No, I didn't see that detail, but yeah.
It's towards the end of it, which is a huge amount. And, you know, again, they're kicking against affordable housing with 25%. And yet, here we are, they've actually admitted there's a 5,000 waiting list across the county. So is it your wish then that we followed A, to refer the consultation to full council on February the 7th?
Just to make one comment, Chairman, the council has agreed a year ago for a motion which I took to council to actually work up a policy on affordable housing, social housing, key worker housing. I didn't note it in the actual consultation when I read it, which means they're ignoring their own policies.
Right.
So it is a policy of the council that they were going to go away and bring forward a policy on this. They haven't yet. That's 12 months. Well, we have been in an awful period of time, but to put this document out without including that in it, after the full council agreed that policy on December the 9th, 2020, seems a little bit of an oversight. So maybe that it would be to ask the town clerk to write to them and ask them if there's some appendix where they're going to take that forward, because it was an agreement of the full council. So they should be including this in their policy. They're going to ignore their own policies when they're doing a development plan. They're going to get in all sorts of problems later, aren't they?
Yeah. So, Paul, would you be able to get a letter off and try and get a reply by the 7th of February for full council?
It could be that there's a way they're going to include it, but they haven't. As having took the motion through council, I'm probably quite keen to see that they do.
Yeah. Sorry, Paul, could you just answer that?
Yeah, I can do that. Obviously, I can't guarantee replies. Right?
No, but we can try. Of course, the bottom line is we only have 4 days in which to get that response back to the 11th of February. So, thank you. Margaret, Councillor Gately.
Thank you. Just to clarify, Councillor Stutchbury, you're talking about it being a Buckinghamshire Council policy, aren't you, on those housing issues?
Just to make so you won't know, because you weren't there, why we were doing all these Teams meetings last year on December the 9th, I think it was December, we took a motion to Buckinghamshire Council, which was to seek them to look at key worker housing, social housing, and become and to form a policy on providing additional social housing in Butts, because you can imagine during the pandemic, everyone was quite concerned about key workers and everything. It's inappropriate to discuss it. They did actually agree that. There's a minute number from December's meeting. So I think we should go back to them and ask them per minute number of what they agreed, how they're going to work that into this consultation and the local plan. Because if they don't, they haven't actually acted on policies that they voted through unanimously. So does that help? Yeah. It's a public record.
Yeah, I just wanted to be really clear in my own mind. So
Well, I was
sent
when I put the
something-
motion to the council anyway.
We, from planning, put a motion through to Buckinghamshire Council, which then they accepted. Is that right?
No, not
No.
at all. No, it's my actions as a Buckinghamshire councillor last year took a motion from the group last year to the council. This action is a policy of the council now.
Which council?
Buckinghamshire Council, the one who sent you this consultation.
Yeah.
And it's their policy. It's a public record. It's all there, all agreed, all in the minutes. It shouldn't be too difficult for the town clerk to ask them a question about how they're going to take that forward within this plan, because it isn't mentioned in any great scope in this, apart from what's your opinion on social housing. They've already voted for an opinion on social housing, which they should be implementing. As if they want to change that opinion, they've got to come back and amend the original agreement. So it's quite a strong point, Margaret. And as I fought hard to get it through council, I'm obviously going to be quite keen to get it through Buckinghamshire Council. It's quite a hard thing for an opposition group to win a motion against the head in the council, as you can imagine. It was agreed. So I think it's well worth the conversation with them, because it could be that in the changeover between the cabinet members past the election, the veracity and interest in it has not been as dynamic and as purposeful as it was before. I'm sure that isn't the case, but we should ask.
Thank you, Robin. We will do that. And of course, there's nothing to stop, as John Harvey has said, to doing your own individual responses if you wish over Christmas.
I'm sure there'll be plenty of correspondence to them over Christmas, but nobody will answer it till January. That's the trouble.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor Davis, Fran.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm just looking through this now, and there is a question, which is what John alluded to, the 5,000 households on the council waiting list, but home choice register. Social housing, the question is, on a scale of 1 to 10, should the council identify sufficient additional new homes to clear our housing waiting list, where 1 is no additional development to accommodate the full housing waiting list, and 10 is enough additional development to meet the full housing waiting list. So that question is being asked in there. And then the following question is about key workers. On a scale of 1 to 10, do you agree that council should make provisions to build additional new homes for key sector workers in Buckinghamshire with the same scale of 1 to 10, similar to that? So I do think they have addressed it, but whether that actually takes into account the policy that the council has already agreed is possibly a different matter.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, we will write that letter in the view of that and just absolutely clarify that. Thank you very much. Before we move on to enforcement, Catherine, we can see you're back. Is there anything you want to comment on what's gone before? No, you're okay. Thank you very much. So enforcement, which is item 12, to report any new breaches. Does anybody have any matters? No. Margaret, the Mayor.
Just because in the minutes of the last meeting, it was talking about the Oddfellows Hall in Wells Street. Do we have any update about that? Because that breach seemed to be quite flagrant.
Yeah, I think the problem there is it is in the action list, which was agreed we wouldn't do tonight. We were going to leave that till the January meeting. Paul, would it be okay to bring that forward just to get an update on that?
It's an informal meeting, so there's less restriction in the way, if anything.
Yeah, it is a breach anyway, so we can treat it as an enforcement breach. I suppose, Catherine, is there any news on that? No, still no response. Yeah, still no response.
Chairman, just on enforcement, I met with a meeting with enforcement on the 15th before planning, and there is a desire as time goes on to go back to, I think, what Catherine has always historically wanted, which is a progress sheet about where they are with enforcement, what cases are going forward, and their intention is to firstly inform the Buckinghamshire councillors, and secondly then to get it rolled out to the parishes so that we can actually track that an enforcement when taken forward is actually being done. What you can't do when an enforcement case is taking place is have lots of conversations about it because it's in a legal framework. So what you'll get is it's actually being taken forward, and what you'll get is eventually, I think, if my memory's correct, a pronouncement about what the determination was. But at least you'll know, which I think Catherine's always been wanting, to know that they actually have got them down and actually taken them forward. There hasn't been that information for some time. Historically, there once was. It appears that they're going back to that. The new enforcement officer's keen to move enforcement forward, although she has got an intolerable job in North Bucks to catch up, as you can imagine. But the will was shown there to try and improve it. So that's a good thing, isn't it? That you know, she's going to start communicating back to planning clerks. The discussion was a bit rich, and I said, well, most planning clerks and town clerks are quite capable of having a sensible discussion about these matters and take forward the things which are proper, you know, to members if they're worried about detail. So I think we were moving forward. I did ask her some questions about something else which she hasn't come back to me about, so I will be taking a further conversation with her to do with the Disability Act. But no, I think that I think things are moving forward, and she just showed the capacity to want to try and do something. So that's got to be a good thing. So maybe by this time next year, you'll all be getting a list of enforcement cases. Who knows?
Thank you, Robin. That's helpful. Thank you very much. So any other breaches anyone wants to report? No, the only other item remaining is 14 matters to report. Damage, superfluous, redundant signage and the town access issues or other urgent matters. What I can report is one, that the sign on the bypass at Vorton Road roundabout has been straightened. It's no longer hanging cross traffic. That in Stratford Road, the Lollipop Ladies lights have now been turned off when they shouldn't be, all night long. And finally, in Castle Street, the new signage is up. They've actually done a very good job. It does say give priority to traffic, and they have put a box sign, painted a box on the road to stop you at that point. And I've come through it twice in the last 3 days, and it does, from my point of view, appear to be working, although I know Councillor Harvey is going to say otherwise.
Yeah, Councillor Harvey is going to say otherwise. I'm sorry, but I don't think I think it's helped the problem, but I don't think it's solved the problem. I think we need an additional sign on there, something like 1 vehicle at a time or 2 vehicles at most, or something like that, because people still report that they can be waiting there patiently for the gap to appear at the end of the road, and somebody comes screaming around them, thinking that somehow they're parked or they're doing something else with their car. So you know, Warren is not wild about putting in some yellow hatch markings because it's a conservation area. Yeah, I can see that, but I think there needs to be something there to tell people how to, because clearly common sense is not common amongst some people, to say, look, just 1 vehicle at a time. It just makes the whole thing work a lot better. I don't know, that would be my response.
Yeah, well, it's taken us, what, 18 months to get where we are now. So
I know, but if we ask now, maybe with 18 months' time, we'll have what we need.
Thank you.
Maybe just keep left sign, John, would be a good start, because the middle of the road isn't actually your road. That might be a start. Keep left, you know, stay on the left-hand side, because that people do seem to drive down the middle of the road, don't they?
I know, but it squeezes to a point where it's very difficult.
Yeah, thank you. Any other matters to report? Anybody?
Anthony's got his hand up.
Thank you then. Chairman's items for information. I just have one. We would have normally been giving a report on last week's Strategic Sites Committee. The advertiser's been on to me tonight asking if I could make a comment on it. So with members' permission, I'll just tell Hannah what what happened there. Just tell her briefly what I raised. The main issue was that Waits have been given permission to go ahead with the development, but to our credit, 35% affordable housing, 15% of which will be accessible. There are a number of other things which are good, a few other things which are not so good. There is a dispute at the moment over the amount they would have to pay to the NHS and to local health authorities, but that's for discussion at the next meeting. So with members' agreement, I'll just make a very brief report to Hannah for this Friday's paper.
Yep.
Thank you. Paul, you wish myself, Margaret and Anthony to hang back so we can approve what we...
Would it make more sense for Catherine to write the responses and then you just agree them once they're written and then it's really clear what the discussion is?
Fine. So you'll just send them out when they're ready, Catherine. Yes. Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for attending this truncated meeting. Of course, 7 o'clock tonight. Interim council.